The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sherapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the book.
You covered 12. Covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sherapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
All right, boys and girls, what's up? Welcome into another episode of the Bostonian versus the book. Happy Fight Song Friday, everybody. My name's Matt Perrault. You guys can follow us at Boston versus the book on Twitter and X. We stream there every single day, every weekday, I should say. We are live on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the book, the same handle, and we are replayed on Sports Grid Television each and every single weeknight. That's at 10 p.m. Pacific time, 1 a.m. Eastern time. I am in New Hampshire for the last time. For a bit. We've been here for quite a while. We were here for all of July. We were here for a chunk of August. And I've been here now for 3 weeks. We are getting on a plane and flying back to Vegas tomorrow. So, yeah, this is, you can't really see it because I'm wearing black, but the arm sling is still very much a thing. And me getting on a plane tomorrow is going to be a little bit on the interesting side. I don't have any pain to complain about. So hopefully the flight goes okay. I do have a window seat, which, by the way, I am all team aisle. Don't know where you guys are on this stuff, but I am team aisle all the way around. But I've been talked into sitting at a window because then there's nobody on the right side of me, and I'm not going to get elbowed in the arm, which I guess could happen. And so people were like, hey, you got to sit on that side. So I'm on a window for 5.5 hours on the way back to Vegas. So cross your fingers, say a prayer, whatever you got to do to hopefully get me to Vegas without having a massive catastrophe on the flight. So that happens tomorrow. And then on Monday, we're back in the studio in Las Vegas, back in my house, and away we go for a while. I don't think I'll be back here on the East Coast for, 6-7 weeks, maybe longer. So we'll see how that all plays out. But I'll be back in Vegas for us coming up on Monday. It is a Fight Song Friday. If you are new to the program, you don't know what Fight Song Friday is, this is what you're going to get when we break down college football games. That is a Fight Song Friday. We will have multiple breaking down games, picks and plays. I figured out how to do this right. We did it last week. I love this. So I combine just the picks with Fight Song Friday. So I'm going to play a fight song for one of the two teams in a game that I have a bet on. So it all works. It worked last week. It's going to work this week. So we don't really have guests on Friday anymore because it's really turning into like Monday, no guest. Tuesday is hit or miss. Wednesday is Adam Bjorn every week, and maybe Thursdays too, but Wednesday or Thursday for Adam Bjorn. And then Thursday, we have a guest almost every week. I'll probably sprinkle it in and we'll change it up a little bit, but that's kind of how the cadence is going to go. There's too many things on Friday to talk about, and there's too many things on Monday to recap to have a guest over a 1 hour period of time. So the show is an hour long on Sports Grid. It's about an hour and 15 minutes or so overall on YouTube. So having a guest doesn't really fit when I've got as much to talk about as today, for instance. There are so many games. I love the card this weekend. I hate when I say that. I hate when I say I love the college card and I love the professional card because chances are I'm going to fall on my face this weekend. But there are really some tasty games in college and in the NFL that I really, really like. But before we get to football, the opening line, we have to talk a little baseball. Just a little baseball. Give me like 8 minutes to talk baseball before we get to football. Because what happened yesterday, Clayton Kershaw making a monster announcement that he is retiring, and tonight will be his last start in the regular season at Dodger Stadium. It is the opening line for us. Clayton Kershaw calls it a career, being presented by Huel. You can try Huel and get 15% off today for new customers. Use the code BVB. Fuel your best performance with Huel today. What is Huel? Well, it's human fuel. There's the name. It's a meal, not a protein shake. This is a meal replacement company that offers you a 400-calorie shake, 40 grams of protein, and 27 vitamins and minerals. It is vegan. It is gluten-free. It is animal. They don't test on animals. It's animal-free and minimal packaging to impact the environment. If you go to Huel.com/BVB, if you do this and there's not like a really simplistic tracking mechanism, email me, DM me, and tell me. A bunch of you guys have gone and purchased and said, hey, I did this, but I don't know if BVB is getting credit. Huel, HUEL.com/BVB. And if there's not like something that pops up and says thank you, definitely let me know. And I'll let the guys know from Huel that you guys have gone and purchased that. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it. 15% off new customers with the code BVB at Huel.com/BVB. Kershaw is a surefire first ballot baseball Hall of Famer. Yesterday, he made the announcement, and I love the way he did this. He just, hey, I'm done at the end of the year. Not a big, long goodbye tour. He just says, hey, Friday, I'm starting. This game's on Apple TV Plus tonight against the Giants, the biggest rival for the Dodgers. He's at home. It's on national TV, and Clayton Kershaw will walk away. Now, look, there is a personal connection. There's a massive bias that I have with Clayton Kershaw because I've told you guys this story before, but the first ever interview I did when I moved to Las Vegas was when I interviewed Clayton Kershaw. That's at my old radio studio at the Palazzo. It was then called Legacy Stadium, but I was a fan of Clayton Kershaw before I sat down and talked to him. But then after I talked to him, I found him to be so engaging and so interesting, and a guy that just, at the time, he had amazing numbers, but no postseason success, like none. And I was fooling around on the internet this morning, and I was trying to find, like, is there any audio of that interview? Is there anything that made news where I could, reference back to Clayton Kershaw back in 2015 when that interview happened, or I guess it was the end of 15, beginning of 16 that interview happened. And DodgerBlue.com, I didn't even realize this, but there's the show Game Night where they transcribed 2 or 4 of the questions that I asked of Clayton Kershaw. I want to highlight a couple of them because it was pretty interesting, because I asked him about what does he want to do as a pitcher. And when I asked him, do you think that you're the best pitcher in the game? And his answer was, I don't want to take anything away if people were to say that. It's a huge honor and something I definitely don't take for granted, but that's not my goal or my motivation. Remember, up to this point, the Dodgers hadn't won anything in Clayton Kershaw's career. They'd won nothing. He had been a dominant starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, but they had not had any success in the postseason. And they had just hired Dave Roberts. And I was obviously a Red Sox fan talking about Dave Roberts. And I was saying, hey, what do you think Dave Roberts is going to do? Like, what do you think Dave Roberts will accomplish with you guys? And he had, some pretty high expectations. I think expectations are great. I just think you need to know when to celebrate and when to enjoy a moment. For me, that's the most important thing. When these expectations are very high, which is awesome, our team has the same thing every year. We're expected to win, which the Dodgers absolutely were expected to win. But they hadn't won in 2015, 2016. They hadn't won. And Kershaw was really being labeled as a postseason bust, like the greatest regular season pitcher of all time, but a guy who simply could not get it done when the chips were down and things were at the highest from a stress perspective, a leverage perspective. Clayton Kershaw was not somebody who could be counted upon. He just didn't deliver in the postseason. He wasn't great. When I asked him about the World Series, what was he trying to do? He said, quote, winning. I think that's really it. It's kind of a finite line for me. Our team has had success, a successful season to a certain point, but really at the end of the day, 29 teams fail. One team succeeds. And that's a pretty pessimistic way to look at it, I know, but it keeps you hungry and keeps you motivated for the next season. If I ever win a World Series, I might just call it a career. I just can't imagine what that would feel like. Well, Clayton Kershaw got to experience it twice. Not just once, twice. I feel bad because Yahoo Sports put this graphic up on the left-hand side. They forgot about last year's championship. Kershaw won it in 2020 and won it in 24. He's a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. He won the MVP. 5-time ERA champ. 3,000 plus Ks from a left-handed perspective. We may never see another lefty have 3,000 career strikeouts in baseball ever again. This is crazy, and this is an awesome stat. Clayton Kershaw, in his first 9 seasons in Major League Baseball, had an ERA of 2.37, a 1.01 whip, and 9.8 Ks over 9 innings. Clayton Kershaw's final 9 years, 2.81 ERA, a 1.03 whip, and 9.3 Ks per 9. That is ridiculous. That is called consistency. That is called domination. It wasn't a fluke. You could make a case that Clayton Kershaw was the greatest regular season pitcher ever. Ever. His ERA, 2.54, is the best since the dead ball era ended in 1920 for a pitcher who has thrown a minimum of 2,000 innings. If you use ERA plus to adjust the ERA, he is the all-time best, just ahead of Pedro Martinez. His whip, career 1.02 whip for a career, is the best since the dead ball era. 2,000 minimum innings. He was that good. He wasn't just another pitcher. He wasn't just a guy that was, an all-star, a really good. He was an all-time great. And I totally understand about the numbers in the postseason. And I understand that his ERA in the playoffs hasn't been great. And I get that people will bring that up all the time when it comes to Clayton Kershaw. In particular, if you dislike Clayton Kershaw, the first thing you're going to go and run and talk about is that Clayton Kershaw did not deliver nearly as much as he should have in the postseason. And that injuries also, end of the year, injured him because he wasn't dominant in the World Series. He wasn't dominant in the postseason. He also had injury problems where he wore down as the year went on. He wore down. But he won everything that you need to win in Major League Baseball. Everything that you're expected to win to be an all-time great, a Mount Rushmore type conversation piece. And he wasn't honored while he was playing in that way. Was it the Dodgers? Was it the West Coast? Was it the postseason? Whatever it might be. But Clayton Kershaw was not held up in the same regard as other great pitchers of his era. He just wasn't. He wasn't looked at that. He wasn't talked in the same way as other dominant Roger Clemens, Pedro Martinez, Nolan Ryan, go down the list of these unbelievable pitchers who we have revered and looked up to and said, man, those guys, game on the line, who are you handing the baseball to? You would say many names before you would say the name of Clayton Kershaw. And the numbers would tell you you are wrong for that, and I would be wrong for that, given what he has accomplished. 11-time All-Star, 3 times winning the Cy Young, 2 championships, a Gold Glove, Roberto Clemente Award winner. I mean, the Dodgers will retire number 22. Nobody will ever wear number 22 ever again, and that's right. Like that's right. Kershaw is the Dodgers' all-time leader in WAR and strikeouts, and maybe we'll never see it again. I mean, you have Sandy Koufax, you have Jackie Robinson, and you have Clayton Kershaw as the greatest Dodgers of all time. Like he's in that conversation. He's in that, and I think people just haven't talked about it. Even with all of the accomplishments, even with all of the stats, I still feel like he's underappreciated as to what he was as a pitcher. He had an ERA under 3 in 13 of 18 seasons in the big leagues. like what? He went through the steroid era. This guy pitched throughout the era where baseball, we saw guys just like Pedro Martinez. We saw pitchers get lit up left and right. Not Clayton Kershaw. This stat is unbelievable. Since the mound was lowered in 1969, no qualified Major League Baseball starter has a lower ERA than Clayton Kershaw's 2.51. That's how good this guy was. And by all accounts, and I'll just take Matthew Stafford's word as one of his best friends in Texas, he's a better person. As I mentioned, I've only had one, and I spent about an hour and a half with him. I was really fortunate. We sat down for a very long interview. I should have kept it because the next day I interviewed Mike Tyson. So it was we were launching my national radio show on Yahoo Sports Radio. And the first interview was Clayton Kershaw, and the second interview was Mike Tyson. I mean, that was about as good of a 1-2 punch as you could ask for coming out of the gate for a national radio show. It was called Game Night. The show was on from 7 to 10 Pacific, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern. And I sat with him, and we had the interview. It was about 30 minutes, but we sat afterwards, and we just talked. And we talked about life, and we talked about, like, my daughter was very young, and his kids were still really young. And, he just told me about dreaming of winning a World Series. He's like, it's what you do all the time as a kid. You dream about winning a World Series. It's what I play the game every day. He's like, all the accomplishments, everything I've done is all great, but I want to win the World Series. That was in 2016. He wouldn't win it until 2020. And then he won it during the COVID era, which people said, it's an asterisk. And then they win it last year, which is awesome. But he played with Ohtani, which I think is so interesting. I think when we look back in the next 10, 15 years, we're going to talk about the fact that Clayton Kershaw, at the end of his career, played with Shohei Ohtani, that those two guys were on the same team for the LA Dodgers. So tonight, you got Kershaw on the mound, Apple TV Plus against the Giants. If you're not doing anything tonight, get that on your TV set. Watch that game. Say goodbye to an all-time great. He'll pitch in the playoffs, but they don't know what his rotation spot is in the postseason, by the way. They think he might get a start, but they don't know. Like, this could be it. He may not pitch in the playoffs. They may not need him to pitch in the playoffs. So there's a thought that Kershaw might be it. He may not pitch again in Major League Baseball after tonight. I saw somebody in the chat say they went and looked at tickets. Brandon Racone. Tickets at Dodger Stadium jumped from $65 to $186 after the announcement. Tomorrow's is Kershaw's 3,000 bobblehead. That jumped from $110 to $250. Wow. So he's pitching tonight, which will be his swan song at Dodger Stadium. And then they have the bobblehead tomorrow. Wow. That's pretty cool. Really cool. Tip of the cap. Hell of a career. Clayton Kershaw. Unbelievable baseball career walking away. Let's talk some basketball, some baseball from last night, and then we'll get heavily into what's going to happen football-wise for the weekend. Let's talk about what happened last night. All right, what happened last night? Two crazy endings in the WNBA playoffs. The Aces advanced to the semifinals for the 7th consecutive year, and even without Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever made the semifinals by coming from behind to knock out Atlanta. Unbelievable effort by both teams that won, and now Vegas will face off against Indiana in a best-of-5 series. Remember, Caitlin Clark is out for the year with that groin injury. She is not going to play the rest of the year, but A'ja Wilson was unbelievable. 38 points last night for her. When they needed a bucket, they went to her, but it was actually Jackie Young on a putback from an A'ja Wilson miss that caused that game to be won for Vegas. Awesome offensive rebound and putback to win it, and then a missed shot at the buzzer for Seattle. Give the Storm some credit. They fought, but Aaliyah Boston's putback, I mean, I don't know what was going on with Atlanta defensively on that. That was wild. They completely lost Boston, and it was a great look by the Fever to find her open, to lay it in, and ultimately put the Fever up by 1. And Vegas versus Indiana, I would be very, I mean, look, I've been talking about this now for the last couple of days here, and it's going to be stunning to me. If Vegas is not in the final up against the Lynx, I'll be stunned. Okay. Again, every team that has won 15 games or more in a single year, same season involving a WNBA team, all 4 teams prior have won the WNBA championship. Vegas had a 17-game win streak. They lost game 2. They won game 3. They almost lost game 3, but they won and advanced. It's all about survival. They didn't cover, but who cares? They won. So now they move on here to the semifinals, where they are pretty big favorites against Indiana. The Lynx are going to move on. We'll see who they play. One more game to be decided tonight. Probably going to be New York. It'll be New York and Minnesota to battle it out. Vegas has the easier path, and we'll see what ends up happening, but it's probably going to be Minnesota and Vegas in the final for a best of 7, and then we'll see what ends up going down. But heck of a night last night. Big win for Indiana, big win for Vegas, and they will battle it out for a shot to be in the WNBA finals. The Red Sox lost again. I mean, they just, like you can't lose to the A's. 5-3, Boston loses. Guardians won't stop winning. Guardians have won 7 games in a row. 7 games in a row. I mean, as a Red Sox fan, I'm sick to my stomach, because you just look at this and you're like, my gosh, how in the world, if you're the Red Sox, how in the world are you losing 2 of 3? And really, you could have been swept at home to the A's. The team pitched well enough to win all 3 games. They just haven't had the offense. Since Roman Anthony got hurt, this team just hasn't had the offense. They need William Abreu back in a big way. Like, they need reinforcements. And it sounds like Roman Anthony might be able to play at some point in the next week. Like, maybe. And he maybe will be able to play in the playoffs. But Boston is not assured a shot to get into the postseason by any means. Red Sox played today. So do the Guardians. Yahoo Sports put this together about all the pennant races, and it's pretty interesting. So the AL East, the Blue Jays, 3-game lead over the Yankees, who are then 3 games above the Red Sox. The Blue Jays, barring an absolute collapse, the Blue Jays will win the East. The Yankees will win the number 1 wild card. The Tigers have a 3.5-game lead over the Guardians. It's incredible. The Guardians sweep the Tigers, and all of a sudden, this is a real thing to watch. The Guardians have won 12 of 13, and they've won 7 straight. The Tigers should win the Central, but hold on. The Dodgers have a 3-game lead now over the Padres, who did not play well over the last couple of days. The 18-year division title drought for the Padres is only behind the Pirates and the Mariners for not winning their division. Now, the wild card for the Cubs, Padres, they're in. Salt that away. But Mets, 74 losses. D-backs, 76 losses. 76 losses for the Reds, 77 losses for the Giants. All 4 of those teams are still alive as we head to the weekend. The American League wild card is even wilder. So the Yankees and the Astros, or the Mariners, depending on who wins the West, we pretty much know who 1-2 is, okay? There's a shot that the Astros or the Mariners could pass the Yankees, and they would be the number 1 wild card seed. But most likely the Yankees will have the 1. Astros, Mariners will have the 2. But the Red Sox, Guardians, and Rangers are all separated by 4 losses. I mean, it is 83-70, 81-71, 79-74. Really, it's the 1 loss separating the Guardians and the Red Sox that's the big one. That's the worry. Boston on the road with Garrett Crochet starting for the Red Sox today. We'll start just the picks with baseball, and then we'll move into football. All right, we'll start just the picks. Red Sox money line. Garrett Crochet today going for the Red Sox. The price is cheap. It's -130. Now, Drew Rasmussen's been a good pitcher for the Rays, and the Red Sox have had a tough time against the Rays in their history. When it comes to games that Boston must win, Tampa Bay would love nothing more than to beat up on the Red Sox and knock them out. Now, I have a ticket on the Rays to miss the postseason at +168. That's good. We're going to cash that. But The Red Sox could also have the same problem. The Rays could return the favor to me and knock out the Red Sox. If they don't take 2 out of 3, I think they're toast. And Boston might need to win all 3 games. This is a huge series. And when you have your ace on the mound, this is a required win. Garrett Crochet, I don't care what Rasmussen looks like. Crochet needs to be awesome today. And you let him go for as long as you need him to go today, Alex Cora. Like 110, 120 pitches, whatever you got to do, stay out of the bullpen and let Garrett Crochet and win this game for Boston because they need it in a big, big way. Red Sox money line, -130. The other baseball play I like today is Yankees and the Orioles to go under 9. Look, Will Warren's a scary pitcher. I'm not going to deny the Orioles could score a bunch of runs today. That's a little bit worrisome, but Trevor Rogers has been tremendous for this Orioles team. His ERA is sub-2 on the year. It's sub-2 at home. The team has won 3 of the last 4 games in which he has pitched, and he's been tremendous every time. The Orioles, again, this game doesn't mean a ton to the Yankees. They need to win, but by how much? Most games involving Rogers for the Orioles have been dead unders for the last 2 months. I'm going to play the under here. Under 9 for the Yankees and the Orioles coming up here for tonight. For the other play tonight is where we start with a Fight Song Friday because we have a Big Ten game coming up here for tonight. The fight song for Iowa, as Iowa will travel to Rutgers tonight here in the Big Ten. Iowa is a road favorite, laying 2.5 to Rutgers. Both these teams are 3-0. This is the Big Ten opener for both teams. Now, Iowa has played a FBS opponent already, going on the road to Iowa State and losing the game 16-13. Rutgers has not played a team in a power conference yet. I'm against the market tonight. I'm taking the under 46.5 for Iowa and Rutgers. And here's my theory. I don't like the offense for Iowa. I feel like, and the quarterback they've brought over from the FCS level has not looked the part. The running game has been okay for Iowa, but the offensive line's not nearly as good as it's been, but they should be able to move the ball on the ground. Rutgers has put up big numbers offensively against FCS, lower level FBS, and just bad defenses. I don't think Iowa can get into a firefight here with Rutgers on the road on a Friday night. I think they would rather take the air out of this football and just go underneath and just, Iowa's 2-1. Thank you. I forgot they lost to Iowa State. Forgot. Thank you. 2-1. So I don't believe that the Hawkeye offense is going to put up big numbers. So I think if you're going to bet the over 46.5 here on this game, I think what you're saying is that Iowa's defense is going to give up a lot of points to Rutgers. I have a hard time seeing that. I mean, these two teams are kind of mirror images of each other, historically speaking. And yes, Iowa has had their way with Rutgers historically, in particular in the Greg Schiano era. Kirk Ferentz has just had his number. But 2 of the last 3 games for these teams have gone under. And it's a Friday night. Yes, it'll be a jump up and down type of environment. It's a home dog. If I had to take a side, I probably would take the points and take a home dog in Rutgers. But I mean, Iowa is the better team on paper. And I want this Hawkeye defense to play the way they put against Iowa State. I think we're going to see a kind of a similar game to Iowa State. And you could throw every stat at me and say that's a rivalry game and this is a different situation here. Rutgers quarterback can really move and Iowa's going to have a hard time. I don't believe in this Hawkeye offense, and thus I don't believe in the Hawkeye quarterback. I don't believe in the Hawkeye offense, and thus I can't believe on Iowa to score a lot against Rutgers. And we know what Kirk Ferentz is on the road in particular. He's a very conservative coach. So I think the idea is punting is winning. Like Iowa football. Punting is winning. And I think they're going to try to, obviously get Rutgers to punt a lot. And then I think their offense is going to punt a lot. So I don't think this is going to be a gigantic high scoring game where we're watching both these teams into the 20s. I mean, that's basically what we're saying here, right? 24, 28-24, somewhere in that range, 28-20, somewhere in that range to have this game go over. That feels like a lot of offense for a Rutgers Iowa game, one that I can't really get behind. So tonight, again, I lean towards Rutgers in the points to take the +2.5, but I'm not going to bet that. I've just bet the under 46.5 for Rutgers and Iowa tonight in the Big Ten opener for both these two teams. And I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be an interesting game, but I will lean on the under for typical Iowa punt Iowa type of situation here. Game number 2. It is the fight song for West Virginia. They're on the road against Kansas. KU is a 12.5-point favorite here in this game, and I am feeling it for my West Virginia friends. B. Howe and company, Pat McAfee. Things are going well for West Virginia with the Rich Rod return. And KU's offense, I like it a lot. I've liked KU. I've liked Leopold. I think this is just a very difficult situation for West Virginia to go on the road against a Kansas team that is really, really explosive. The number is climbing. It opened at 11.5. We're up to 12.5. I'm not sure how much resistance we're going to see here out of this. Daniels has been great. 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions so far this year. West Virginia won last week against their big rival, got a big emotional victory against Pitt, winning the backyard brawl in overtime. And now they got to go on the road after KU lost on the road to Missouri. So you have an angry KU team and maybe a West Virginia team that's a little bit jumping up and down after what happened last week. But the loss to Ohio, that was sort of like you could see it coming when it got against Pitt. You lose to Ohio on the road because you were looking ahead to the game. West Virginia goes out there, gets a big win. Now it's their Big 12 opener. They're on the road, taking on KU at home at David Booth, Kansas Memorial Stadium. Night game on top of that. Mismatch here. Tough game for KU. Tough spot for KU. For West Virginia, rather, against KU. Give me it. Cole, you're mean. Michigan alum, don't remind me how it feels to have Rich Rod. Mean. You're mean. Oh, you like the over, Eron, Sean. I don't mind the over in the game. Yeah, I mean, it's KU, right? I don't mind it. Like, both defenses not great. This number at ESPN Bet is now up to 13.5. I got 12.5. I shop around. There are better prices in the market for West Virginia and Kansas, but I'll lay the 12.5 with KU up against West Virginia. Sell high on West Virginia, buy kind of low on KU, a chance for them to get a big win to start the Big 12. I don't think West Virginia's defense, it's going to be able to stop that KU defense. Going to be a tough situation for them coming up here on the road. The next game is really interesting. It is the fight song for Oklahoma as Boomer Sooner will welcome in the 22nd ranked Auburn Tigers to Oklahoma, to Norman. Number is 6.5 for Oklahoma. This thing opened up at 4.5. It's been bet to 6.5, and it's now getting ready to go 7 or higher for this one. This is a fun game. It's a fun game because Jackson Arnold is the former Oklahoma quarterback, and he's now the quarterback of Auburn. So this is what happens in today's college football, where guys just move around like crazy. Auburn's coming off of a destruction, if you want to call it that, of South Alabama, winning 31-15. They beat up on Ball State 42-3, and they beat Baylor in their opener 38-24 on the road. And that's, I was surprised by that. I was stunned, to be quite honest. I thought Baylor would win that game. I was fading Auburn there. I'm fading Auburn again, and maybe this is my fault, but I thought Oklahoma showed me something last weekend when I thought they would be looking ahead to the Auburn game, and the Temple Owls in Philadelphia would have something for them. And just from an emotional standpoint, I really thought there could be a trap there being laid at Temple. Not so much. Blowout. They win the game 42-3 after beating Michigan at home, getting a huge win at 24-13. And now they open up the SEC with Auburn coming to town. It's the 2:30 Central Time window, the 3:30 Eastern Time window, which is traditionally reserved for the number one game on the docket in SEC football. And this is a chance again from a Heisman Trophy candidacy. If John Mateer is going to wind up in that conversation, this is a chance. Now, his numbers aren't gaudy. He's got 5 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, 944 yards passing so far, but he threw for 282 yards against Temple, 270 yards against Michigan. And let's see what he does here against Auburn's defense at home in a big spot. And look, I asked the question, I don't know, a week ago, looking at Oklahoma and looking at their schedule, going, okay, if they get past Auburn, they're going to beat Kent State easily next week. And then it's the Red River, and they've got Texas. And the more that I watch John Mateer play, and the more that I watch Oklahoma's defense play, the more that I'm thinking Oklahoma's going to beat Texas. Like, Oklahoma's the better team, like right now. And everyone's going to say it if they win, John Mateer for Heisman. Because who else is going to win it? Roger, all over the Sooners. Not bad. It says I'll take 6 kind of easy, but if it goes 7.5, I'll pass. Yeah, I think that's true. It's 6.5 right now, but it's going up. The money's coming in on Oklahoma, and rightfully so. The money should come in on Oklahoma. They're at home. Their defense has been great, and they have all the motivation that they want with Jackson Arnold coming back as the quarterback for Auburn. So Auburn's running game is really what surprised me against Baylor. They ran all over Baylor. I was really surprised at that. I didn't think they're going to be able to do that. I thought Baylor's defense would be better. They dominated. I'll take Oklahoma. I'll lay the 6.5. Give me Boomer Sooner to come up with a big win here and really start the national championship conversation and the Red River beating Texas conversation. I've actually looked at the price. It's still a pretty good number. I think it was 7 or 8 last time I looked, where Texas was favored by Oklahoma. If Oklahoma wins over Auburn, that number's gone. So if you agree with me about Texas and Oklahoma, you may want to take Oklahoma right now. Take the points for Oklahoma right now in Red River. Because if they beat Auburn and if they're impressive doing it, that number is toast. Like, that number is gone, and you won't get it from a Red River standpoint by any means. Ooh, it didn't fire. It is the fight song from Michigan. They are on the road at Nebraska. Big Ten opener for both these teams. From Michigan laying 1.5 points on the road against Nebraska. I'm actually not going to talk about the side on this game. While I do think Michigan wins the game, I think the better play is the total to go over 47 for Michigan and Nebraska. Nebraska's offense has been good, and they have a competent quarterback, and whenever you're playing at home, you obviously have more confidence and you play better. Expect Terrence Crawford to lead the Huskers through the tunnel walk coming up on Saturday. Expect that. Memorial Stadium isn't the hardest place to play, but in big games, when they have marquee, historic franchises, historic brands coming to Lincoln, I've seen it. They go crazy. And it turned into the 3rd largest city in the state, just in the stadium. And it's a very difficult place to play when they want to make it a difficult place to play. Now, that's not always, okay? But at times, people love to harken back and remember what it was like when it was Nebraska and it was Johnny Rogers and it was Tommy Frazier and all that stuff, right? Well, that's not really what it is anymore. Matt Perrault is trying to get it back to the Tom Osborne days, but it's not like that at all, except when Michigan comes to town, except when Ohio State comes to town. The Michigan defense worries me. I'm going to tell you right now. It worries me right now. I really liked Michigan for their defense, and I'm worried about what I'm seeing. I like Bryce Underwood. Okay, he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback in this country. In the country, he's going to be great next year. But look, I don't care about Central Michigan. I don't care about 63-3. I care about the Oklahoma game. And Oklahoma, I don't know, didn't like it. Didn't like what I saw out of Michigan on the road at Oklahoma with a freshman quarterback, and they're going again now here to Nebraska. Oklahoma's a hard place to play. Nebraska's a hard place to play, but I don't like the black shirt defense for Nebraska. I haven't for a while. I don't think that they're quote unquote back. And I'm actually a little surprised. Matt Perrault winning 68-0 and 59-7 over the last 2 weeks. He went on Pat McAfee and talked about why he did it. Like, he talked about the fact that he wanted, that halftime speech that got leaked by Will Compton, the former Husker linebacker, leaked. And about Matt Perrault saying, play for your family, and I don't want to see them getting, okay. Nebraska has made a living at doing this, at just going ahead and running scores up and beating up on bad opponents. Do it against Michigan, okay? Let's see if you can do it against Michigan. I don't think you can. I like Michigan's speed, and I like Underwood's speed too. So I lean towards Michigan to win this game, but I do think Dylan Raiola in this offense, I do think they're going to score. I think they're going to put points up on the board, and I think you'll see points up on the board for Nebraska and for Michigan. Give me the over. We're going over 47 and over 47. Some books have it at 47.5. I'm going over 47 for Michigan and Nebraska coming up here for this weekend. One more fight song on a Fight Song Friday. That's two times. That being the fight song for Miami, I'll admit it. I never had heard the Miami fight song before finding it today before the show. Florida on the road at Miami. The number is 8.5. I'm sorry. I'm having a real hard time not expecting an absolute ass kicking that Miami's going to beat the living daylights out of Florida like they did last year. Cam Ward lit up this defense. And I mean lit up this defense for Florida. And the Florida defense has been very good again this year. I mean, you look at the numbers. Last week, it wasn't their fault. I mean, they've given up 2 touchdowns all year. It wasn't their fault that they lost to LSU. It was the quarterback's fault. And DJ Lagway is going to go on the road now to Miami, to an environment that is going to be extremely hostile. I mean, extremely hostile. The Gator defense can only do so much. And I do think this receiving core for Miami, they have gelled very quickly. And Carson Beck is not the greatest quarterback, but he's good enough. He can put the ball where it needs to go. In the college ranks, he's good enough. I don't care who he's dating. I don't care what he does off the field. On the field, the kid can play. Is he an NFL caliber quarterback? No, I don't think he is. I don't need him to be. I just need him to be a good college quarterback. So you have 5 interceptions from DJ Lagway last week up against LSU, 1 return for a touchdown, and he looked lost. He looked absolutely clueless. And Miami's defense is better than people think. They've spent big money. The offensive line for Miami may be the best in college football. They can road grade you. They can run and then play action and go over the top with 3 very good wide receivers. I don't think Florida scores to keep up. I'm not going to go and be tricked like I was last week. I took the Gators plus the points. I lost last week. I'm laying it now. Yeah, he was seeing ghosts. Absolutely ish. And what do you think is going to happen against Miami? This run that the Gators are on, their schedule is absolutely insane. who they have to play over the next 5 weeks. And it's just bad news after bad news after bad news for the Florida Gators here, who are already 1-2. They have Texas next week at home. Then they play at Texas A&M. They'll play Mississippi State at home, and then they'll welcome Georgia in. I mean, that's ridiculous. You play LSU, Miami, Texas A&M, and Georgia in 4 of 5 games. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Mississippi State's not a walk in the park either. Things could go south very quickly, and Billy Napier could be bye-bye. Could be bye-bye. See you later. Thanks for coming. Good night. Later. See ya. Lay it. Miami, -8.5. They're going to row. Yeah. Smell a boat race? So do I. I smell a bad L coming for the Florida Gators. And I don't know how much longer Billy Napier sticks around. It's buyout significant, but I just don't think it. That LSU game was bad. Yeah, it is a monster. Absolutely. You don't think Mario Cristobal wants to win the game just to make sure every kid in Florida sticks around and goes to Miami and doesn't go to Florida? Absolutely. 100%. And Miami got left out of the playoffs last year, and they had a very similar start last year to this year. And you have to win games like this. I mean, Florida's 1-2. They're an SEC school, but this is an in-state rival. You beat South Florida last week. Miami did. You got to turn around. You got to beat Florida here. It's the game you're expected to win. You're at home. Big number. I'll lay it. Miami. I'll lay it up to 10. I think Miami wins the game. 10 points, maybe even higher than that, but I'd lay it up to 10 for Miami. Okay. Bunch of games in the NFL that I want to get to here today. Let's start with the Jets at the Bucks. Bucks are laying 7. Have you guys gone and looked at the injury report for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And I love the Buccaneers this year, okay? I am all over Baker Mayfield. I am all over them winning the division. I'm all over them to make a run in the postseason. But this is bad news for an 0-2 Jets team that needs this desperately. Look, I know it's Tyrod Taylor. I get it. That's scary. It's not Justin Fields. It's Tyrod Taylor. However, the injury report here for the Bucs with their offensive line is horrible. Tristan Wirfs, again, is out. Their starting right tackle is out. Their starting guard is out. They have 3 of 5 offensive linemen, starters, are out for this game. Generally speaking, and we saw it last night, okay? Saw it last night with the Dolphins, 0-2, they covered. Teams that are 0-2, historically speaking, cover in this situation. Tampa may win the game, but by 3. I think 7 points is too heavy. I like the Bucs to win. I like the Jets to cover. I think if you want to tease this game, you can, but I think there are better teaser opportunities this week in the NFL than to take on the Jets and the Bucs. But I'll take the Jets. Give me the 7 points. Jets on the road +7 against the Bucs, and that goes against everything that you normally hear out of me because generally speaking, I hate the Jets and I love the Bucs. I just think this is a spot here. This is a bad spot. It's a bad spot, unfortunately, here for the Buccaneers with their offensive line and a Jets defense coached by Aaron Glenn, who I think will pin his ears back and get after it. Give me the Jets +7 on the road against the Bucs. Raiders and the Commanders. This could be this is a battle of which quarterback is going to play for Washington. I have not seen yet today, so if you guys have seen, did Jaden Daniels practice today? Because if he did, this number is going to run. I got 3 for Washington on Tuesday, and I'm going to, again, go find it. I think the Raiders are in deep trouble here. The Raiders started the year out east against the Patriots and got the win. I was on the Raiders in week 1. Then I was on them at home in week 2 on Monday night up against the Chargers, but they got destroyed because Geno Smith threw 3 picks and just played horrible. He did not practice. Thank you. Okay. So it's Marcus Mariota. I'm fine. Daniels is out. Okay. Thank you. Not going to play. So it's Marcus Mariota. I'm okay with Marcus Mariota, the former Raider quarterback. I'm 100% cool with Marcus Mariota going and beating the Raiders. Why? The Raiders defense is a mess. It's a mess. And I don't like the spot. Okay. East Coast, West Coast on a Monday, back to the East. Okay. condensed week, back to the East Coast, body clock, 1 o'clock start time in a game that, frankly, Washington needs to win. Okay. Washington needs to win this game. They're 1-1. They got to get after it. Ashton Genty has not looked great. Okay. Let's be straight honest here. Ashton Genty, there's a lot of questions about him and fit and what is going on, but it's more Geno Smith and it's more this defense. If this game was in Las Vegas, I would take the Raiders because they would have had the time to practice, to get ready. Instead, it's a Monday night. It's a late game. That game got over at about 1 o'clock Eastern time on Monday. Now they're playing on Sunday. They got to travel to Washington. Bad spot. Don't like it at all. Give me Washington. Lay the 3 on the Commanders here against the Raiders. Broncos at the Chargers. What a game. I mean, what a game. So if the Broncos lose this game, the Broncos fall to 1-2. If the Chargers win this game, they go to 3-0 overall and 3-0 in the division. The Chiefs, we'll get to that game in a little bit, but the Chiefs have a massive game. This is a huge game for the Chargers. Early in the year, Jim Harbaugh's a wizard. Jim Harbaugh's great early in the season. He is really, really difficult to coach up against, to go up against. He's a guy that you want to be on his side. He's 2-0 ATS, 2-0 straight up, and I think he's going to be 3-0 in both those categories after this. I like the Broncos. I've always liked the Broncos. Yeah, spots matter, okay? Spots really do matter, and this is not a good spot, in my opinion, here for the Broncos going up against the Chargers. The Chargers have beaten the Broncos straight up and against the number in their last 2 meetings. You have to go all the way back to 2011, though, for the last 3-game straight-up winning streak up against the Broncos. But, I mean, Bo Nix, I like Bo Nix. I don't love Bo Nix, and I'm concerned. Jim Harbaugh is 13-6-2 straight up in the month of September. I mean, the guy is just awesome. He's great. Harbaugh overall in his coaching career in the NFL is 27-10-2. Early in the year, you want to be backing Jim Harbaugh. Chargers -2.5. I'll take them. The Bears are at home up against the Cowboys. This number, I can't wait to see how high this thing goes. 51, 52, 53. Like, there's no way this game goes under. I will be floored if this game goes under. The Bears defense just got killed by the Lions. The Cowboy defense got lit up by Russell Wilson. How in the world are the Cowboys going to rectify their defense in 1 week? Ben Johnson's going to have a chance to show what Caleb Williams can do, and they're going to score. On the flip side, the Bears are not going to stop Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, through the first 2 weeks of the season, is probably the front runner for the MVP, given the numbers he has put up. The drives he had in overtime in the fourth quarter against the Giants. I mean, they lost that game 4 times before they finally won it. They have Brandon Aubrey. It's going to be 78 degrees at Soldier Field at kickoff. It's going to be gorgeous. The weather's perfect for the offenses. Points. While I like the Cowboys to win the game, the best play in this game is over. Everybody and their mother is on the over in this game, and I find it hard to argue. How in the world are you taking the under? Like, this is just points on points on points on points here for this. I like the Cowboys to win, but the over, I think, is the best play in the game. Cowboys and the Bears, we're going over. I've got one more play, and then I got a teaser bet that I want to give you guys here because you guys know how I am when it comes to teasers. Steelers at the Patriots. Somebody has to explain to me why the Patriots are home dogs in this game. I don't understand. I just don't understand how the Patriots are home dogs. The Steelers don't beat the Patriots. The Steelers are 1-8 straight up against New England, dating back to 2013. The last time the Steelers won on the road against the Patriots was in 2008. The Patriots no Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is not going to be like, oh, they're 0-4 straight up, and they're 0-4 against the spread on top of that as well. Aaron Rodgers has played 2 career games against the Patriots in his career. He's 0-2 straight up and 0-2 against the spread. Like, we know that Tomlin as an underdog, take Tomlin as an underdog, right? Tomlin's a favorite. They're a favorite. Like, he's favored here going into it. And I know about Drake May, and I understand all these things about Drake May. And things haven't been great, and Vrabel's numbers are not great. Patriots have been bad for the last 5 years. I understand all of that. Aaron Rodgers last week, I know what he did against the Jets. Okay, I'll give you that. Like, I get it. I know what he did. But last week against the Seahawks, Rodgers looked lost, and the defense looked even worse. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense has given up 31 and 32 points in 2 weeks. Are they going to fix it like in 2 seconds? Now, I know Drake May is not nearly in the weapons for the Patriots. It's Stephon Diggs, so maybe he has a big breakout game. But the Patriots showed something at Miami. Drake May and the offensive line showed something as well. That secondary for the Steelers looks old. I mean, let's call it a spade. Like, look, I know Porter's out there, but for the most part, it looks old. Not able to catch up with some receivers. So, I mean, that is a good spot for the Patriots. Steelers coming in, catching 1.5 points. Give me the Patriots plus 1.5 up against the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers, and to keep the misery going for the Patriots. When they play Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't win. JPC, appreciate it, my man. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate the travels back on Monday, back in Vegas, and SharePan strong as always. Absolutely, thank you for that. Can Rodgers just retire, or is he going to play another year? I don't know. I think it will depend upon how the year ends. I think if he embarrasses himself and it's really negative, I think he would play for one more year. But I think if it goes well, I think he'll walk. And I mean, like if they make the playoffs, I think he would walk. I don't think he has to win a championship or anything, and they're not going to. But I think if the year ends where they have a successful season, make the playoffs, lose to somebody like the Chiefs or something in the playoffs, I do think he probably would end up walking. All right, to the teaser. We talked to Adam Bjorn from BetChris Arizona. Every Wednesday we have Adam on the program, and he told us all about this game, the Packers. Everyone is teasing the Packers. You should be teasing the Packers. Like, you should be. Like, this screams teaser for the Packers. Josh Jacobs has scored a touchdown in 11 straight games. He's been tremendous. Matt LaFleur is 17-6 ATS in September since 2019. And that Matt LaFleur is 8-1 against the spread on the road since 2019. No coach is better at covering early in a year on the road than Matt LaFleur. The Packers are 17-3 against the spread in their first 3 games of the season since 2019. That is the best in the NFL. LaFleur as a favorite of 6 points or more. That's happened 28 times, according to the Action Network, as the head coach of the Packers. His teams are 25-3 straight up. So we're just pulling this down to 1.5. Don't go crazy. Just pull it down to 1.5. On the flip side, the Chiefs are 0-2. And everyone's doing this, but I cannot find any part of my brain that's going to spit out that the Chiefs are going to lose to the Giants. Now, they might not cover, but I cannot see them losing this game outright. Andy Reid in week 3 is 9-3 ATS, but they're just 13-13 ATS in weeks 1 and week 2. That's not great. But if you adjust it to 16-7-1 in weeks 3 and weeks 4 with the Chiefs, this is a Mahomes thing that we have to kind of go, what's going on with him? Like what is going on here with the Chiefs? What is going on with what's going on? But here's the stat. According to the Action Network, Patrick Mahomes has faced 19 NFC teams who are 500 or worse straight up on the year. Mahomes is 18-1 straight up in those situations. The only loss was on the road to Green Bay back in 2023. Tease Chiefs down to a pick, and the Packers to -1.5. Both those teams on the road, but I'm comfortable with both those teams getting W's here. Just get a win. Get a win. Okay. Just get a win. I don't care if they're 0-7 straight up against the Giants. I don't care. The Giants suck. I've been telling you guys this all summer. The Giants suck. The Giants will be 0-3. Chiefs will actually score. Chiefs defense will shut down Russ. Chiefs win the game. If they open up 0-3, oh my God. Look out if that actually happens. That's in particular, if the Chargers win, AFC West might be over come Sunday night. The race could be kaput by Sunday night. If you guys are watching live, don't move. More to come in bonus time. If you're on the replay or watching on Sports Grid TV, thank you for being here. We appreciate you guys being a part of this. We're back on Monday from Vegas to recap the entire weekend. The rest of you guys, we'll talk more picks and plays and thoughts for the weekend in bonus time. I can drink now, so I'm not making people on TV mad when I'm drinking on that. I just can't see it. I just can't see it. Yes, not good. Yeah, not goof, but not good either. You cannot run the ball. That is true. Good thing is you don't have to against the Giants. That's the good thing about playing the Giants. You don't need to. You don't need to run the ball against the Giants. You just need to throw the ball against the Giants. And the Giants and Mahomes should be able to throw the ball. Somebody want to tell Kelsey to catch the damn thing, though? That would help. I mean, please, like Travis, like catch the damn football. Like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I looked at that game-ish. I did. I looked at it. You know, Illinois by 50? No, but I'm confused by the number that Indiana is as big of a favorite as they are against Illinois. So I stayed off of it. I haven't bet it, but I'm cheering for Illinois. Like I'm looking for it, but I can't bet it yet. I'm not on there, so I can't see. It's not like when the commercial cuts happen for a break, which on TV, that's true. I don't know when the commercial cuts happen for a break. That is true, but it's just good etiquette to not take sips of water, or I tend to go a solid hour without drinking anything. So at different times, he is the worst. I'm with you, and I know we have Indiana fans in the chat, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Let me see. Anybody on Instagram asking questions? No, so we don't have any questions from Instagram. If you guys want to fire here some questions on games, we can spend a couple of minutes doing that if you want, and I can tell you if I've looked at it or not, and what side I'm going to be on that. But I told you I love the card this weekend. I'm going to have way too many bets going this weekend. I'm loaded up on it. Yeah, I figured you would be, Roger. I figured you'd be on the Hoosiers. Any lean on South Carolina, Missouri? This is a tough game. So on one level, you have South Carolina in a great bounce back spot after what happened last week at home. But what's the status of Lenora Sellers? So that's why. Let me pull up that number here real quick. Where did that number go? I was looking at it yesterday, and I was like, well, we don't know what's up with Sellers yet, so we don't know. I couldn't play it, but let's see. South Carolina and Missouri. I would lean to Missouri personally on that. If I had to bet it right now, I'd say Missouri. Numbers, geez, it's 10. Opened 11 though, but it's 10. Sellers is not playing. Yeah. Missouri rolls. Yeah. Ooh, good question, Ish. Thank you for bringing this up. I have made money on Tulane in both weeks, last 2 weeks. It's against Ole Miss. They're catching, 61. That's an in game. That's an in game. Let's see how many points we can get. If I can get 14, I'll be all over Tulane. But Lane Kiffin is known to run scores up. Yeah, Lane Kiffin's tough. Can we get a Friday don't bet parlays for tomorrow? Okay. let me open up a book here and let me give you a thought as to what I would do for set. You want a Saturday? Don't bet a parlay. Here's what I would do from a parlay standpoint. Let's see. I would take over in Michigan, Nebraska. No, hold on. Let's stay away from that. No, because I could be wrong about that. Yeah, Oklahoma minus 6.5. Let's go. Yeah, that West Virginia Kansas game's 12.5, but over in West Virginia and Kansas. Let's go over there. Let's see if we can, let's go by the old rules where I have to give you a 6-1 return. Let's go by the old rules. And let's see. My God, Vanderbilt. Watch Vandy lose to Georgia State. That would be perfect if they were to lose. There's a lot of really crap games this weekend in college football. It's kind of it really does stink. We just don't have the same number of like awesome games that we normally would. It's weeks 3, weeks 4. It's kind of hit or miss a little bit on this for college. And where's Tulane? Let's take 12.5 with Tulane. Let's take that. There you go. They're 6-1. So OU minus 6.5. The over in West Virginia, Kansas, and take 12.5 with Tulane. Yeah, there you go. There's a 3-leg 6-1 return. Don't bet a parlay for that. It's sneaky good. I like a lot of I do like a lot. I do like a lot of those bets, but I don't. I mean, again, the games in terms of like a hype perspective in college, they don't have the same buzz. Like it's a good card if you like college football, which most of us do. But like, Auburn, Oklahoma is great. Nebraska hosting Michigan's great. Florida at Miami is fun, but we don't have like a number 1 versus number 5. Like we don't have these like huge, massive matchups that will have national championship college football implications. So there's your parlay. Oklahoma laying 6.5 against Auburn, over 54.5 for West Virginia, Kansas, and Tulane catching 12.5. Again, I'm not going to bet the Tulane game until in game. I want 14 against Ole Miss. So maybe Ole Miss takes the football, gets it, goes right down the field and scores. I have no idea on this. Utah, Texas Tech, no clue. That is a complete, I need to watch to learn this. Okay. I got to watch to learn about the new offense for Utah. We know they can do defense, but they have a new quarterback, new Dampier. I got to watch and see what's going to happen with Utah. And then Texas Tech is all new, right? I mean, they spend so much money in the portal. I don't know what Texas Tech is. So I to bet money on it, I can't get behind betting money on Texas Tech at the moment. So huge watch game for me coming up for that, for sure. Anybody, I'm looking for any NFL questions before we wrap here. Might tease the Broncos to 8.5. Okay. Don't hate that. Don't hate that. And yes, the Cowboys secondary is awful. That's why we're taking the over 100%. Bet the over on that game. Kyler Murray against Mac Jones. I think you're going to see everybody took last week the Cardinals from a survivor standpoint. I think if you didn't take the Cardinals last week, I think you might wind up seeing people taking the Cardinals this week in survivor. So it could be a pretty heavily picked game coming up as well. I think in terms of like what other, you want to know what like a sneaky upset you can watch. I think the Panthers might beat the Falcons. And I know you might be like, what are you talking about? I think that's a sneaky upset. If you're looking for an upset game that we all might be going like, wait, what? Numbers 5.5. Carolina's at home. These teams normally split. That's not a bad look in my mind to take the Panthers. If you want a money line, Hail Mary type play, decent price there. Can't you tease the Broncos to 8.5 and tease the Cowboys, Bears? Yes, you can. 100%. Yes, you can do that. Yes. And look, I have done that. I have teased the Cowboys total with like 3 or 4 different plays. So if the Cowboys game's a dead under, I'm going to have a horrible Sunday. Like I have so much wrapped up into that over. Yes, taking it from 50 and pulling it down to 44 and going over 100%. Some books are at 50.5. You can pull it down to 44.5. 44 is generally a key number. 42, 43, 44 key numbers in totals. We're going over on all that. I would be stunned if we have a low scoring game between the Cowboys and the Bears. Stunned, just given the defenses. So last week we didn't have any games with a total of over 50. Now this week, let's see. We've got one, Dallas and Chicago. That's it. Dave used to always say, go find the highest total on the board and go under. Not on that game. Not on that game. I wouldn't do that. And again, just glancing at the board, I think we're in for another overrun. I think we're going to see a lot of overs. These are depressed totals. 41.5 for Green Bay and Cleveland. 43.5 for Vegas and the Commanders. 43.5 for the Panthers and the Falcons. 41.5 for Seattle and New Orleans. 44.5 for Houston and Jacksonville. I mean, these are just too low. These totals are just too low. So I think we'll be talking about games going over again. Colts at 4.5 is a gimme. Maybe. I hate the Titans. So I can easily trail you. You can also Circus at 4, Caesars at 4, BetMGM's at 4, Hard Rock's at 4. So you can get 4s all over the place. Colts -4. It's divisional game on the road. That's your fear. Okay. To say right now. People tend to stay away from that. Laying points on the road in the division, dangerous spot. It can win, but how much of that was the Dolphins defense sucking and how much of that was the break that the Colts got at the end of the game with that 15-yard leverage penalty? They should be 1-1. Instead, they're 2-0. I think that's kind of a prop-up number. I would let that number run, and then I would take the Titans. That's one of those, some people do like the hold your nose special. That's a hold your nose special. Hold your nose and bet the Titans on that game. But Houston does always win in Jacksonville. Well, but again, you want to lay the number? It's not just a win. Well, I guess they're catching 1.5. I thought they were favored. They're dogs. I don't know. That's a really hard game. Houston sucks. 7 straight wins. Okay. But Houston sucks. So I don't know. That offensive line is the worst offensive line in football. So Jacksonville's going to pin their ears back and get after it. That worries me. That definitely worries me. I'd be concerned about that. I don't love that play, to be honest. That's a stay away game. I don't like Houston. I don't like Jacksonville. But I mean, in the division, I'd rather take the points with the Titans. Take 4.5 points with the Titans than the Colts, personally. But we'll see. Vikings over the Bengals. You're betting that game. How can you bet that game? Backup on backup? Like, huh? That game is so hard to bet. That game is like, I don't know what the hell to do with that game. That's really hard. Jake Browning against Carson Wentz. Whoa. The Bengals, by the way, are 0-6 straight up and 0-6 against the spread on the road at Minnesota. Just in their last 6 games, it's been a house of horrors for the Bengals to go on the road to play the Vikings. So just FYI on that. So great weekend of football coming up, boys and girls. Thank you for being here. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for being a part of it. Favorite thing about today. Favorite thing about today. It's not that I want to leave here. Obviously, I hate leaving Amanda, but I am really excited to get going with rehab and getting back to Vegas. And the weather's been nice here in New Hampshire. It's been nice to have a fall. I haven't had a September fall in like a football weather type of fall, but I am looking forward to going back to 95 degrees and going back to the heat and going back to just getting into my routine again and getting back to teaching. I've been teaching UNLV via remote, which feels like COVID all over again. So I'm really excited to get back and getting into the classroom and trying to work on this thing. So I really do appreciate you guys bearing with me in all this. And as we kind of figure this whole thing out, this has been I think overall has gone really well. I think I got to be honest. I think in terms of how this has been post-surgery and only using one hand. I was really concerned about how I was going to be able to do the show without one hand. And I think for the most part, it's worked out pretty well. So I'm pretty psyched about the shows we've done here from New Hampshire. Obviously the setup is great, and being down here in the basement, and just Amanda's internet is amazing. Her internet's amazing. So not really psyched to go back to my own version of the internet. I got to just do some things when I get home to correct my own personal internet situation, but it's great to be here and just be a part of it. So a lot of fun with that. I'm trying to find, there isn't a fight song that I want to play on the way out that really, for a game that's coming up, they don't have a big game. Yeah, I don't know. There's not really anything that is jumping off the screen for me. But hopefully you guys enjoyed Fight Song Friday. If everything about today is coming in here. Forgot to ask about fading UCLA all year. Well, I mean, maybe. Maybe but dead cat bounce. I don't know. Do you want to do a dead cat bounce? I'm not sure I'd be so inclined to fade UCLA, or they are really bad. UCLA is really, really, really bad. But that was a fun Fight Song Friday. Guys, we're back on Monday. Thank you for being a part of it. Like button, subscribe, tell somebody about this show. Help us grow as we're looking to do a bunch of things coming up this football season. My thanks to Huel. That was really cool of them to sponsor the show for the week and the opening line. That was awesome to have them be a part of the program. Again, Huel.com/BvB. If you guys are looking for meal replacements, if you are someone who takes meal replacement, drinks meal replacement, check out Huel. It's worth your time. I've had it. It's, they're not paying me to endorse it. They're paying to be on the show, but not paying me to endorse it. I went to them. They didn't come to me. I went to them and said, this stuff's good. What are you doing? And they said, let's do something on the show. So Huel, HUEL.com/BvB. Back on Monday to recap everything on this big football weekend coming up for a Monday episode of the Bostonian versus the Book.